Hello,
Here we are again.
everyone.
Hey, Linda. Hey, Leonard. It is so good to see you guys. Happy
Absolutely.
Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Yes, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. And I'm here in sunny, windy Green River, Utah, and I loves trucking or truck stop and the luxury of my beautiful Freightliner Cascadia.
Careful, you're gonna make us all dizzy with you moving it that fast. No dizziness. We're not gonna have it. This isn't a roller coaster. I hope everybody is ready to go and we're so glad that you're here. We're really excited about what we have to share tonight. Some things that like really kind of broke it open for John and I when we were going through our journey, and some of the things that we learned. And so really excited to share some of the things that we've got with you. And
definitely 5 tools. Tell them about it.
5 tools. Well, let's just dive in, shall we?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to add it to the stage. Add it. All right. So welcome, everybody. Welcome again to Deservingly You. This is that space where we talk honestly about what it takes to rebuild after systems of control, and also to live a life that's self-led. I'm Shannon Avery Briggs. I'm a certified transformational resilience coach. I'm co-founder of Luminous Connections and co-founder of the Exit Generation movement and initiative. And as we step into this, just know this is a coaching space. We're not therapists. We are coaches. So we focus on awareness, clarity, and that forward movement. And tonight we're going to be starting in a place where that can feel really real. Sometimes it's not always easy to name. We're going to be talking about 5 different. You know what, Johnny?
What?
I have the wrong thing up. I have. So hang on. We're going to pause, everybody, just a second. I was like, this isn't what we want to be covering. It's not the fear of being wrong. We actually want to go to the next spot. So I apologize for that. So
it's not calming the unknown.
Huh?
I'm on the same one.
You are
calming the unknown.
Well, yes, that's what we are. I was not sharing that. So I got the wrong message for us. So let me start. Entertain them. Do your song and dance and tap dance until I can get the right one up. Can you do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Please tap me.
I'll just introduce myself. I'm John Briggs, as most of you may know. Also, transformational resilience coach and co-founder of Luminous Connections, as well as the Exit Generation. And and for me, what we're going to talk about tonight was the missing piece for me because understanding fear helped, but it didn't change what happened in the moment when it actually hit. If you can understand that, and that's where things still felt hard. Okay. And that's where the hesitation showed up, the second guessing, the pressure. And what I've learned and what we're going to talk through tonight is that you don't need fear to disappear completely in order to move differently. Okay. You just need a way to work with it, right? Well, and be present at the same time.
Absolutely.
You got it. You got that in place now, Shannon?
Yes, I am so, this is so funny and like so typical of, having like Linda said, it's like crap happens and so, oops. So we almost shared, the last week's stuff, but I'm glad that we caught it now instead of halfway through the presentation. At least I'm that much awake. So anyway, if you're here with us live, please type live in the chat. And if you're catching the replay, type replay so that we know that you're here. And if this conversation like this matters to you and you know somebody who could benefit from it, please like, subscribe, and hit that notify button so that you're not missing what might be coming up. Did we miss anything else on just the introduction? This was the craziest introduction ever.
But I wanted to just wanted to say, please maybe have a notebook in place, and please forgive me, but on my end here, with what I'm working with, I can't see who's in the conversation. I can't see any of the chat at the moment until I upgrade my technology in this truck. That's where I'm at. I can't see anything. I can't see who's here. But if you wanted to make a comment directed at me, you could do it with Shannon. Shannon can read it.
Yep.
Or wait till you get on stage and talk to me directly that way.
Yep.
But please, like Shannon said, like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Share with somebody you might think who needs to hear it. Write down any questions or comments you might have for later so you don't forget. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We always want to John Mars is here too. So great to see you here. Great to see Leonard. Great to see Linda. So glad that you guys are here. We always like to set the stage for the discussion because how we all show up in this space matters just as much as what we talk about. And so what we do is we set not rules, but we want agreements. This is that space for let me try that again. It's for reflection and not to be reactive. We want to be focused on our own experiences and notice what's happening inside you. We want to be curious over having judgment as well as that awareness over criticism.
Absolutely. It's easy for conversations like this to turn outward, right? To analyze, to compare, to go down these rabbit holes, so to speak. And that's not what we're doing here. We like to say that, we're not here to debate or revisit the past. We're here to build something forward, not to criticize the organization or the elders or anyone else in that regard. We're trying to move past that.
Yep. So that's what we want to use the chat for, is to share what stands out, share what clicks with you and what you're noticing in yourself, because we can learn from one another when we say, aha, that is something that I definitely pick up on. And we want to be able to stay engaged.
You don't have to share to be a part of it. You can listen, you can reflect, you can, take notes, whatever you need to do. Step away for a moment, whatever resonates with you. But if something lands, right, and resonates, please feel free to put it in the chat. That's how this becomes active, and we learn from each other. We have these aha moments, like, oh yeah, that really makes sense there, because we can really help each other for things to really pop. I appreciate that.
Yeah, what does our coach call it? Does he call it community learning or something like that? I can't remember exactly what it is. But anyway, let's dive in. So last week we spent some time naming what really happens underneath the surface. We talked about the fears and the way that it shows up after high controlled environments. And we talked about those 4 primary fears that will show up: that fear of rejection, the fear of ruin, regret, and responsibility, and how those don't show up individually at one time after we leave a high controlled environment. What happens is they end up stacking, and then that ends up amplifying. And then what happens then is that even simple decisions can feel like you've got the whole world on your shoulders and you're carrying a ton of bricks over something just really small.
And when that starts to happen, it can feel very, it can feel like every option has a cost. Okay, every choice, like no matter what you choose, you're risking or losing something. Okay, so hesitation, it'll make sense in that space. Second guessing will make sense as well. Okay, and that pressure that you feel. That's not a personal flaw. That's the conditioning that we all went, that our body was put through, and our nervous system is set to recognize as normal.
Yeah, and our bodies want to keep us safe. So that's what we're going to pick up the discussion tonight, because awareness is really important, but it's only going to get us so far. And at some time, the question comes up, what do I do when this shows up?
Yeah.
And so we might have that, and from there, then we have to shift into action. And so tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to give you 5 simple tools or ideas that you can use in real time, and things that you can use in the moment when that fear actually shows up and it's actually happening. The thing is that these are simple on purpose, because when our nervous systems are activated, you don't need complexity. You want to be able to have something that you can actually use. So as we go through these, notice which one stands out for you. And I'd love to know towards the end of the show which one, or if you like all of them, or if some of them stand out more and you plan on using them as you go forward. So before we dive into them, though, here's a couple of things that we want to do first. We want to take a look at seeing if we can't normalize fear, and to begin to redefine courage compared to how we may have seen it within that high controlled environment that we were in. And then we're going to come to the courage in a moment. So first of all, we want to look at fear. And one of the most important shifts that we can make is actually recognizing that fear isn't a punishment. It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's an emotion. It shows up and it passes.
Exactly. And when it does show up, we don't have to lock into it. And you don't have to carry it or make it mean something about you personally. We can create a little bit of space, and in that space, you get something back. Choices, okay? Options, not over whether fear shows up, but over what you do next, right? Moving forward.
Yeah, so with fear, instead of trying to get rid of it, we actually learn how to steady ourselves, steady our nervous system inside. And we come back to our own center, and we can stay with ourselves. And then from there, we can have that strength to choose the next step.
All right. And that's really what tonight is about. Not eliminating fear, but using tools and learning how to stay with yourself and move forward despite the fear.
Yeah. And we have King Tony on tonight too. Hi, it's so good to have you.
Hi, Tony. Thank you. Love it that you're here. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Now let's shift and talk about courage. What do you think about courage, John?
Oh, well, when I think of courage, it's just we're gonna mention it later, but
no, this is later.
That's right. Later is right now. It's let's talk about that, because for a lot of us, right, that word already has meaning attached to it. Okay, we were told what courage looked like. Courage looked like loyalty to something outside of us, even when it cost you, something dear to you. It looked like staying quiet when something didn't feel right. Okay, deferring to authority and waiting instead of acting, pushing through when your instincts said otherwise. And I think I've realized that, it's the exact opposite of those things. It's having that fear and acting despite it. Yeah.
And part of the thing, excuse me, part of the thing too is where we came from, because, and there may even be some words that pop up in your head, even hearing that word, just some of those trigger things. And so because of the way that courage, we were trained in regards to courage, it made it really confusing. And it's what made it confusing is that what we were taught is that it kind of felt like courage. It required those things that you would expect to come with courage, things like discomfort, things like sacrifice and consistency. And so it made sense in our brain that it was labeled as courage. And so, like John said, it's something different when we're getting that courage from outside of us instead of being centered and having it come from within. Did you have more to say there?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to add to that, but when you really look at it, it was learning to stay loyal at the expense of yourself, so we want to redefine that here, because courage from a self-led place looks very, very differently. And courage isn't the absence of fear. I mentioned this earlier. It's behavior you choose in the presence of it. Yeah.
And even more, it's that choice that keeps you aligned with yourself. And it's not proving something or suppressing something. It's actually, like I said, staying within yourself, choosing consciously, and yet we move anyway. And so that's one of the things. This was a huge aha moment for us. It wasn't a way of self-abandonment like what it was when we were under the high control. It actually became self-trust in motion. So I'm curious if you looked at that from that perspective, looked at courage from the perspective of self-trust in motion. How does that make you feel? Put it in the chat if you feel comfortable to do so.
I really like what you said there a minute ago, was choosing consciously and moving anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Making a conscious choice in the middle of fear is really powerful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so now we've taken a look at normalizing fear, and we've redefined courage. And now when we take these tools or ideas and take a look at these and how we can use them in our life, it might be a little bit easier to apply them. So the first tool or idea that we have here, this one matters more than most people realize, because when fear shows up, you're not starting from a thinking problem. You're actually starting from that body response. And your system will shift, your nervous system shifts into that flight or fight mode. And that fear system that we have, that safety thing that our body automatically puts on. And when this happens, there's a part of your brain that actually, when we can shift out of that fear system, there's a part of our brain that actually works better and makes clear, grounded decision. Whereas when we're in that fear system or that fight or flight system, it's like we're not online with that part of our brain. Kind of like when your Wi-Fi goes out and you can't connect your phone. That's kind of what it's like with your brain. So what's happening here is that your body is reacting first, and then that thinking ends up coming second.
Yeah. So trying to think your way through it, it just doesn't work. Okay. Because like Shannon said, the logical part of your brain, you can end up spinning, second guessing, trying to force clarity that just isn't available to you yet. Like it hasn't been downloaded in that regard. So not because something's wrong, but because your fear system is activated. Okay. So the goal here is not very simple, but it's simple to calm the system first, so you can get back to a place where choice is available to you again.
Yep. So instead of attempting to start with your thoughts, what we want to do is start with our body, and so that we can give our nervous system that chance to settle. And the way that we can do this is really simple. We can inhale for a count of 4, and exhale for a count of 6. You've seen John and I do this on the show before. And as you do that, if you place your hand on your heart, on your chest where your heart is, and focus on your heart, because your heart is really smart. And if you stay there for about a couple of minutes, that can help regulate your nervous system and bring and kind of shift that, get you back online with your brain. Hey, Ruby's here too. Good to have you here, Ruby.
Hi, Ruby. Thanks for showing up. And what we're doing there in that moment is, in a sense, downshifting your system. Okay? Kind of into a different gear. You're moving out of that fight or flight response, like Shannon described, and back into a place where you can actually choose, and choose wisely, and it doesn't have to be perfect, though. Okay? You're just creating enough space for your body to settle, okay, where you're not reacting so much, but responding. So your next step can be intentional, right?
So once again, it's like we inhale for 4, we exhale for 6, we have our hand on our heart, and we stay here for a couple of minutes. And this can align your nervous system to where that fear can lessen a little bit, to where you're actually able to use that part of your brain that is where you're thinking, instead of being in that fight or flight mode. So we ready for idea number 2?
Let's go. Let's do it. Okay, so here's the second tool. When fear shows up, it usually doesn't stay quiet, does it? Your mind starts running into what if questions. What if this? What if that? What if this goes wrong? What if I mess this up? What if this creates a problem for me or someone else? Hey, whatever, all these what ifs. And the challenge is, okay, those questions don't lead to clarity. They just kind of lead to a loop. They just keep over and over and over again. So what's happening here is your mind trying to predict and control the outcome, okay, by running through worst case scenarios. I know that definitely sounds familiar to me. And the brain usually gravitates toward what's familiar until you can grasp something different to move toward.
Yeah. So instead of trying to stop that thought, we actually learn to work with it. And so if you can catch that what if and you flip it, not into something unrealistic, but into something that actually opens up that possibility. Because the goal here is to actually interrupt that loop, the one that is what if, and create just enough movement so that you can shift your state.
Right. So what this can look like is this. If you notice something negative, right? The what if you say, you could say one empowering what if out loud, okay? And then you could take one small action right away, and then you could take about 30 seconds to do that, no, not to rush through it.
Yeah. So let's experiment a little bit and see if we can make this real. So step 1 is like identifying that what if. What if I say something wrong? And then the step 2 is to flip it. Well, what if I say something that actually helps me feel clearer? And saying that flipped message out loud so that your body and your brain and all of that can hear it. And then and so say like this scenario, you're with a group and you're afraid you might say something wrong. So let me start over. We say, what if I say the wrong thing? I'm afraid if I go into this group, I say the wrong thing. And so if you flip it then, well, what if I say something that actually makes me feel clearer or brings clarity to the conversation that's going on? You can share one honest sentence in that conversation.
Right. Love that. Or maybe it's this. Another example would be, what if they get upset with me, right? Would be the what if. And then you can flip it into, well, what if this actually helps me feel more more at peace in this, in this setting. And then the action would be, I'm just not available for that at the moment. For that feeling to take hold.
Now, this one that you're talking about right now is super, super powerful, and especially with us people pleasers, it can be really uncomfortable to start doing. So, because if somebody is wanting you to do something and you want to turn them down, and you have that, well, what if? Being able to step back and step away. Actually, what's more important here is not the people pleasing, but it's to bring yourself more peace. So this what if flip can help us to get there.
Definitely.
And then, so another one is like, especially as we're first coming out, because we had so many decisions that were made for us. It's like, what if I make the wrong choice? What if I make the wrong choice? And so one of the things that we can flip is, what if I can adjust as I go? And we can make smaller decisions and just take that first step rather than staying frozen in that fear.
For an example, like if you were going to reach out to someone or someone new, and you have this, what if they don't respond at all, or in a way that just makes me uncomfortable, and what if this opens something new? Could be the flip side of it, a new opportunity. And then the action would be just to send the message, right?
I have a great one for that. So when I first reached out to Ruby, to actually connect with her and reach out and have that message to her and have that what if. Well, what if she doesn't respond? What if I don't make that connection? But by flipping it and going, well, what if this opens something new? And I sent the message anyway, and now Deservingly You is a thing. So another one is, we got one more. So what if I fail? So if we flip it, instead of the failure, because failures, we can learn from them. So if we flip it to, what if I learn something new and useful? And once again, take that first small step. And once again, we can use Deservingly You as an example. What if Deservingly You fails? But what if I learn something new and useful? And so John and I are learning all sorts of different things here with the channel. We're learning how to do this across the country, and we're learning how to use new tools, and we're learning how to communicate better and to talk better. So we took that first small step of starting this channel.
It reminds me of a quote from Thomas Edison. He said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 things that do not work."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is the part that most people miss. It's not just a new thought. It's pairing that thought with immediate action. Yeah.
Yeah, that positive what if flipped thought, pairing that with that action. So when we do that, that's what can help break that loop. The what if, we can break that loop to a more positive space. And that's actually what helps start building that self-confidence, because our bodies listen. And when we do follow through on those types of action, our body and our brain will root us on. Oh, look at that. Yep, you did it. So don't downplay that. Tony says we stay stuck in the negative what ifs instead of the positive what ifs. Yep. So we want to switch that and start practicing positive what ifs. And it's good to have balance. Try not to entertain the negative as much. So yeah. So sorry that we can't put the comments on the screen yet. We're waiting to upgrade. So soon they'll be back, and soon we'll have Ruby back behind the scenes too, to help us run this more smoothly, and we won't have the goof ups like what we had tonight. So let's do 3.
All right, on to idea or tool number 3. Okay, this is one. Is about getting it out of your head and onto paper. Okay, because when fear is active, your mind starts filling in the blanks. Okay, and most of the time it fills them in with, like I said before, worst case scenarios, and it kind of continues on with that loop. Not because that's what's true, but because your nervous system is trying to protect you by getting ahead of something. Okay, that's just, and so what's happening here is your mind is creating a story, and your body is reacting to it like it's something that's real.
Yeah. So
Yep.
the goal here is really simple. We want to come back to what's actually true right now. And so the way that we can do that is slowing down. You know that John and I are always saying, get a journal, get a journal, get a journal. And so when we slow down and we actually write it out, when you do this, you can actually take the fear out of your head and put it in front of you.
So if you would, grab your journal and write 3 things. The fear, 3 facts that are true right now, and 1 small experiment.
And so one of the ways, like John said, you can, if you have a journal, you can write the number 1 and document that fear, write it out, and then write the number 2 and write 3 facts that are true right now, and then write the number 3, write 1 small experiment that you're going to try. And so, for example, that fear, it might look like, I'm going to get this wrong. But here's the facts, the 3 facts that I'm going to document in this example. I'm safe right now. I've done the research. This is reversible. And then the experiment might be, I'm going to share one of my ideas with somebody that I trust and get some feedback.
Or maybe it's like this. The fear could be, I'll be judged. Okay. And the fact would be, this is a normal conversation. Okay. I can choose how much I share. I can pause it if I need to. And the experiment might be just to share 1 honest thought in the middle of that conversation.
Okay. 3rd example. The fear might be, this could mess everything up. But when I look at the facts, fact number 1, I've handled uncertainty before. Number 2, I can make adjustments if needed. And number 3, this isn't permanent. So my experiment, I'm going to take 1 step forward.
All right. And this is where the shift happens. Okay. You're taking it out of your head and you're putting it somewhere where you can actually see it and process it better.
Yeah. And this is really, really powerful. When you do that, you actually move from the story that you've been telling yourself inside your head, back into the reality. And so when we write facts, that actually forces our brain to shift from that prediction mode that's telling the story and trying to write the future for us into an observation mode. And that's where that fear loses intensity, and we can actually start going into strategy and action instead of that reaction that our brain wants us to go in to attempt to keep us safe. All right, we ready for number 4? I love this one. I love this tool. So tool or idea. So this one is actually about anchoring back into who you are. Because when fear shows up, it's going to tend to pull you into that reaction, and you start responding automatically. You might do things like you might avoid people, or you might hold back in some of those in some way. You might also start second guessing a decision that you have made. And what's happening here is that fear is trying to decide for you how you're going to show up.
So the goal here is pretty simple. Choose who you want to be in the moment, right? Not based on fear or pressure. You want to base it on your values and principles.
So instead of asking ourselves what's the right move, you shift it a little bit and say, who do I want to be? And then you anchor that into a value. You name the value and you ask, what would that look like right now? And then you can take one visible step towards that in the next 24 hours.
So let's make this real, okay? Let's say the value is courage, right? That might look like speaking honestly, or if the value is kindness, that might look like softening your tone as you try to consider where they're coming from, okay? If the value is boundaries, that might look like simply saying no, even without explaining yourself, okay? And if it was self-respect, that might look like just choosing what's right for you right now and moving forward.
Yeah. So King Tony said this is what she's been working on. Let us know, King Tony, if this is kind of aligns with what you've been trying to do. Now, I want to dive a little bit deeper into this one. Let's say the value is honesty, and it might look like telling the truth, even if it feels uncomfortable. And this one can feel a little bit tricky because of what we were taught, and that what we already knew what honesty was supposed to look like. And so we were taught to speak truth, to stand for truth, and to defend truth. But that version of truth actually came outside of us. And so this kind of honesty is actually different. This honesty comes from within you. And what you actually think and what you actually feel, that truth is also what feels true for you right now from within you, not because of what is said in some book or what is coming from some video or something like that. Not what you were told to say and not what you were expected to believe. And all of this, because of what we've come from, this can all feel very unfamiliar at first, but that's where the work comes in, is to learn to recognize our own truth and start giving ourselves permission to express it.
So let's say that you are avoiding a conversation, okay, or you have been. Instead of asking, how do I do this perfectly, okay, you choose a value, self-respect, let's say. Now the action, it just becomes simpler. You could say, I'm not available for that right now, or I need to take a step back and maybe revisit it later at another time.
Yep. And like I said before, when we do this, we want to notice what happened. And it might feel strange at first, kind of like when you first learned how to ride a bike. It's not that smooth riding yet, and it doesn't feel natural. The other thing too is that's okay. Like Tony made the comment that sometimes she gets frustrated when things don't happen as expected. So that's okay. What matters is that we're starting to take the action. And the other thing is not waiting until you feel ready and not overthinking that outcome. You choose who you're going to be, and then you move from that place. And that's the thing that you keep practicing.
Yeah. And that's what makes this so powerful. You're no longer trying to figure out the perfect move, because trying to do that, you kind of just freeze, right? You're acting from who you've decided to be, going back to the values. So when people choose a value before acting, it reduces the overthinking, because the decision shifts from what's the perfect move to who do I want to be in this moment.
Yeah. So Tony, it's so interesting that that Tony made this comment right as we were talking about this. What happens is to have a tendency to have those pre-assumptions on how the conversation is going to go, which can trigger that nerves and anxiety. Whereas if you take a look at if you're going to show up from that value anchor instead of pre-writing what's going to happen. Can you see how that you can become more grounded, and you can shift from whether it's the right conversation, the right move, like John said, and show up as who you are, who you want to be. Does that make sense? I'd love to see if people are resonating with this. If this, like I said, this is one of my absolute favorite ideas and tools.
Yeah, because if you're not kind of shape the narrative ahead of time, then you won't be disappointed,
Yep.
or in the outcome. As long as you go from a place of your values, your values and boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. And that continues to build that self-trust in you as you act from your values. That will build that.
All right, tool number 5. Here we go. This is where everything just kind of comes together here, because when fear shows up, it doesn't just feel or make things feel uncomfortable. It usually pushes you to avoid. Okay, human nature, right? To wait, to hold back, to not take the step in order to move forward. Okay, so what's happening here? Fear is trying to keep you from doing that, from just wants to keep you frozen in place.
Yep. So the goal here is to prove to yourself that you can handle this. It doesn't have to be all of it, and it doesn't have to be forever. It's just that next step. You can handle that next step.
Indeed. And then, the way we can do that is through what we call micro exposure. One small reversible step right at the edge. Okay. Something that stretches you, but it doesn't overwhelm you. Just enough to move you forward.
And so what this might look like, say like you decide to go to a community event, and instead of trying to stay the whole time, you decide ahead of time. I'm going to talk to 1 or 2 people. I'm going to introduce myself to 1 or 2 people. And after that, I give myself permission to leave. Or maybe you've been hesitating to reach out to somebody, like I was talking about, like with Ruby earlier. And yet you decide to send 1 message and share 1 thought. One of the things that you may have even also been avoiding a boundary. So you decide to say no to 1 small thing.
And sometimes it can be even simpler than that. Okay, just 1 step that you would normally avoid.
So I want to give an example of what this looked like for me. So for a long time, I would stay quiet when my sister said something and it didn't feel quite right. It felt easier just to not say anything to her. And so if I did that, if I didn't say anything, I didn't have to risk being shut down. So a micro step for me was actually choosing to speak up. And I'm not going to go into every little detail when I do this. I had tried that before. And the other thing with having the conversation with her was not finding fault. Instead, there were just 2 things. One thing was sharing that leaving the organization for John and I wasn't an easy decision. That we had done the research and it became clear that what we needed to do. We needed to leave. And I hoped that by sharing this information that the door might open for a deeper conversation, and it didn't. But instead of pulling back again, I took an additional step. I actually followed up, and not in an accusatory way, but honestly, and with a vision of what I wanted our relationship to look like moving forward. And then at the same time, I took another small step. I made a post about a memory that we had shared in going to the theater together. Now, this was nothing heavy and it wasn't negative, but these were it was just something warm, and I included her name. So these were some of those micro exposures that I've taken, and so far it's like, number one, I'm not broken. I didn't get pulled into debate. I also got to stand in my own authenticity and my own autonomy. And so it's just those little micro exposures that hopefully in the future, this will open something up for her. And the point with this too is that I didn't wait for the outcome. I'm not waiting for it to be perfect. I'm not waiting for her to respond to determine my next move. I'm just keeping on taking those small aligned steps. And these are steps that I can handle that actually made me feel good. It made me feel good to share that memory. I was feeling very nostalgic. The other thing too is that it kept me in that self-respect, because I wasn't beating her down. I wasn't going, oh, this was awful. I can't talk to my sister or anything. It wasn't like that. I want to speak out of love, and I want to have those baby steps and micro exposures that hopefully in the future I can have the relationship with her that I want to have.
Yeah. That's how confidence is built. Not by getting it perfect, right? But by experiencing the thought or the reality of, hey, I can handle what happens next, whatever that might be.
Yep. Okay. So I'm curious, of the five ideas or tools that we shared tonight, which are your favorites? If you wouldn't mind putting it in the chat if you feel like it.
All right. While you're doing that or thinking about it, let's put it together. These are the 5 tools that we just walked through. Tool 1, we start with our body. And when your fear system is activated, okay, you don't start with thinking. You help your system settle first so you can actually choose. And then tool number 2, the flip the what if. Okay? Catch the fear-based question, shift it to something that opens possibility, and take one small step right away. Action. And tool 3, data, not drama. Take the fear out of your head, put it on paper, and come back to what's actually true right now. Okay? Tool number 4, we anchor to our values. Instead of asking what's the right move, you ask, who do I want to be in this moment? And then you act from that place. And tool number 5, micro exposure. One small reversible step that proves to you that you can handle whatever happens next.
Yeah. So Leonard, you made the comment you didn't have the confidence. It's things like this, by taking some of these ideas and putting them into action. That's how your confidence will build. And so every little step to the goal. Yeah, I love that. And Leonard said, body first reset. Yep, I like that. Tony likes them all. So notice what all 5 of these ideas have in common too. They're simple, but they're not passive. And each one of them encourages you to take a step, and each step can help build that confidence. It's a real step. This, once again, it isn't about removing the fear. What we want to be able to do is learn how to move with it. And the more that you do that, the more that you start building something different. You actually go beyond just that awareness. You start building that self-trust. Yeah, Linda says she likes the values anchor. That's my favorite too. Well, that one and also the body shift, because you can do that anywhere too, and it's so simple. So those are my 2 favorite. What about you, Johnny? Are the 5?
Oh man, the flip the what ifs. That's what really stands out for me. I think that it's not always going to be. They're not always going to be in order. Obviously the values anchor. I constantly take. I'm constantly taking a step back as well and thinking, who do I want to be in this moment? What do I want the outcome to be? That has a lot to do with who I am as a person. The action that I take in the moment. So.
Yeah.
But they're all fantastic. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we want to open it up. Let me get the link here. So if anybody would like to come up on the stage and share like an aha moment or a question or an idea, we'd love to have you on one at a time, like we always do. A thought had come to mind too, where kind of where it was kind of going along the line of what Tony was saying earlier about expecting the outcome. And you and I were talking not long ago about basically not making it about you. And so, but yeah, it just made me think of that. But now I'm not getting clear on what my idea was. Sorry.
A lot of I experienced that a lot, and especially in the past, where I have this expected outcome. I know what I want or what I would like, but in order to take me out of that, I think to myself, what might they be going through or thinking, and if I that's not clear, then I'll ask. Normally, it's not clear, but I'll ask them questions to draw them out, which totally takes me out of my own head. Yeah. Hi, Leonard.
Hi.
How you doing,
How are you?
buddy? Good.
Good. Good. How are you both doing this evening?
Good. Had a little rocky start. We're good.
I'm fantastic. This is
good. Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm at a truck stop in Utah, Green River, Utah. Super windy. My truck is shaking. Anyway, what do you got on your mind?
Yeah. Last week I wanted to get on live and share, but I ended up falling asleep. But I just wanted to talk about some of the things that were shared about the fear of being wrong. Me, my personal self, I just decided, just not get into anything or not even voice my opinion nor my thoughts, because I know that if I do, I'm gonna instantly be wrong. It's instantly gonna just cause havoc, or it's just gonna be a problem either way it goes. So with me, my personal self, I just told myself, okay, don't say anything, don't get involved, don't get into it, because it's always going to be thrown back up in your face.
I want to invite you to add to that. I want to invite you to add one thing as you decide that is when it does come up, identify which fear is coming up for you. You don't have to do anything, but when you're in those situations, identify which fear and just get really comfortable with which fear it is that is showing up for you. And then we gave you, like we talked about, these 5 ideas tonight, and see which one feels like it might be able to help you through that situation.
And also for me, it's not in the bulletins, that the notes that you shared tonight, but really one of them for me is the fear of judgment, of critical judgment. Because okay, I'm gonna use this just as an example. Okay, you and I, Shannon, we have a disagreement about something, and you call me a racial slur, and in retaliation, I call you a racial slur, and I'm going to get the tail end of it. I'm going to get the butthole of it because it's going to be, well, you shouldn't have said that to Shannon because Shannon is a grown woman. She's older than you, and you had no right saying what you said to Shannon. And that's why I just say, well, I don't even try to fight back or even try to don't even try to get puffed up in that particular way.
Yeah, I want to take a step back again because you said it didn't apply, but I want you to think about this with what you just said. If we stick with just the slurs, is that, and the 4 fears that we shared with you, the first one was rejection. The second one was ruin. The third one was regret. And the fourth one was responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
What you are describing to me is actually a fear of rejection.
That's what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fear of rejection because if somebody is like basically calling you names or those types of things, it's about they're attacking my identity, and so I can't be acceptable. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. So and that's enough.
If you start taking a look at those type of situations, when that fear pops up and being able to start naming them so that you can figure it out, because if you can figure out which fear is showing up, then you can apply an idea or a tool to help you get through it instead of you staying in the cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. And I'm glad that you brought up rejection and acceptance too, Shannon, because I've also had a problem with that as well. Because I sincerely, wholeheartedly wanted to be accepted by my relatives until I was willing to almost do anything for their approval. Just so they can welcome me with open arms.
Yeah. Do you realize that it's about you, not them?
I do now. I understand, and I do now. And I know this might be harsh, and this could be harsh by my saying this, but at this point in my lifetime, I really and truly don't want to have anything to do with my biological relatives because it's like the harder I try, the deeper the hole is, the wider the spread. And the more I attempt to say, well, okay, maybe I'll give it another try. Maybe things have changed. It's the same constant over and over and over. And for me, it's like I'm making a fool out of myself because I'm still giving a chance and chance and chance.
Boy, that sounds really familiar, doesn't it, Shannon?
Yep, absolutely. Very familiar.
And I want you to know something. I want you to hear me, Leonard, is that where you're at in that process is natural. Okay, it's a natural process that has different steps, and you're stepping with that. You've stepped into, a different realm of being calm in your own body, and when you're able to step into that, it's so much better place to be, a space to be in. Yeah. So it's nothing wrong with you, and it's okay. Just keep moving forward. Because the people that you're describing don't deserve you.
I get that now. I really do. And this one particular relative in this one particular relative, she's the type of person she likes to nitpick and agitate. She's that type of person. And she says that she's a born again, spirit filled Christian, but I don't believe it because when she and I have conversations, everything that I say, my thoughts, beliefs, and say so, it's not aligned with the word of God. So she would take that, flip it around, and whip me with it. And from what I have learned now, that is spiritual abuse.
Sure.
Well,
And
go ahead.
and I have learned for myself that you can't eradicate, you can't, you just can't put yourself on the line for those types of people. I mean, you just can't do it because
Yeah.
it's going to affect you in the long run.
And you
Yeah,
don't have to convince them either.
Yeah. One of the most powerful phrases, statements that you can learn is I'm not available for that now. I'm not available for that right now. And just have that response and work at moving away from them. Disengage from the conversation. You want to bring yourself peace. Any other thoughts or questions?
I just want to say this, that maybe because I'm still doing a lot of homework and notes for myself for the channel, and I just want to say, well, maybe just one Sunday that I would be able to share what I have, because I want to get to the symptoms. Well, not the symptoms, but get to the root of the problems so we can grow from the symptoms and move forward in our journey in life.
So, Leonard, what you can do is you can reach out to John. Reach out to John like on Facebook, and you guys can have a phone call. We because we want to keep this on very specific topics, our very specific topics. But you can reach out to John through the channel or through Facebook, and you guys could set up a call or a Zoom where you guys could talk about that.
Absolutely. Okay. We have our show planned out for months in advance.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So it just sounds like something that we could tackle right away, or sooner than later, anyway.
Yeah, reach out to him, and that way you can do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy to do that.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting as well.
Yes.
And I want to, and like I said, I start identifying the fear that comes up when you're in those interactions, and then when you can identify those fears, figure out which idea or tool that, we gave you 5 tonight that might be able to help you to get through that so that you can stop with the cycles. All right.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Leonard.
Bye, Leonard. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from you.
Yep. All right. Anybody else want to have any ideas or thoughts that they'd like to share tonight? All righty.
Who's all on right now?
I see Linda, I see Tony, I see John, and we've got Leonard and Ruby as well.
Nice. Hello, everyone. Appreciate you for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know we're showing a handful of people. Okay. So on to continuing the conversation, Johnny.
Yes,
what are we going to do?
Looking back to where I was, or trying to find where we were. There we are. Okay. So if you want to build this, don't leave it here. Okay. We want to, momentum starts from taking action. Okay. Join us on Monday, tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And I may not be there, but Shannon will be. I got 500 or 600 miles to drive tomorrow, but we'll take these tools and turn them into real reps, real something really notice that's going to build those muscles.
Yeah, we've had a few people join us each week, and it's been great to hear from people's different ideas and experiences. And so what we're going to be going through tomorrow, we're actually going to add an extra question. We're going to have 6 questions tonight that we're going to cover. And the questions are: what are you grateful for right now? What value are you choosing to lead from? What fear is present, and where do you feel it in your body? What's one empowering what if? What's one small reversible step, and by when? And who benefits from when you act with courage?
And I'd really encourage you, like always, to bring your notebook, and hopefully you'll leave this space with clarity, okay? And your next step locked into place.
Yeah. So what we do is we meet on Mondays at 4 p.m., same time as here, but 4 p.m. Mondays at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll have the link in the description of this video in the comment. We have a Zoom that we set up through our Exit Generation Facebook group. And so you can get it's a private Zoom. It's a private Facebook group where we go over these questions, and we just take turns and have a conversation about it. And so we'd love to have you come and practice with us.
Tell all your friends. So, coming up next week, let's take a look at that. We're taking this just one step further. Tell them about it, Shannon.
Alrighty. So when you start building that momentum, something really interesting happens, because how many people have you known, and even yourself, and I know for me, it happened to me, our minds can pull us back, and we can get pulled back into that doubt and into those old patterns and into that second guessing. And even it pulled me back into the organization.
So that's what we're going to be talking about when the doubt says to go back.
Yeah. And so we'll look at why your brain can default to doubt even after we've had a win. And so we want to be able to start recognizing that pullback moment in real time, and also identify what's happening when you feel that urge to go back.
And so you're able to catch it, right? And stay aligned with who you are, right?
Yep. So that's next week. Thank you, John. I appreciate you. You know, we appreciate coming. And so we're glad to have you here and back with us.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So we want to leave you with this idea. This is, instead of a quote tonight, we presented an affirmation. And so the affirmation that we are leaving you with is: I face the unknown, I breathe, I act, I figure it out. Inhale and exhale.
And you don't have to figure it all out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just the next aligned step with who you are, not with what somebody else says they think you should be or who you should be, but with who you are or who you're becoming.
Yeah. So thanks for being with us tonight.
Yes. If this was helpful, please, again, like always, like, subscribe, share, so you don't miss what's coming up next. And
if you know somebody, please share it. Share. We've appreciated our channel has grown a little bit, and so we're excited that more people have been watching, and we're excited that we are getting more on the channel. It's not about the numbers. It really isn't. It's about being able to help one person to move forward and to not go through the junk that we've had to go through. We want to be able to to come together and help each other. And so that's what we want to do. So we really appreciate everybody who has been helping us do that.
Like Shanna said, it's not about the numbers, but help us get to 100 subscribers.
Oh.
It's a milestone.
Yes, it is.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Just get out to more people who need to hear it.
Yep, absolutely.
Like she said. So thank you for being here. Appreciate each and every one of you. Till next week. Bye for now.
All right.
Can you hear me still?